Hey guys, Michael and Brandon here with One in Chamber 00 coming at you with the video about Glock 23s and a little bit of why we chose them. So we'll just go ahead and dive right into it. Glock specifically, why we chose them. We chose Glock over anything else, primarily because they're very inexpensive, the initial purchase. And like I said, like he said in the last video, we're a college student, so our budget is a big factor in this. So we wanted reliability because these are carry guns for the most inexpensive price, and we found these to be fairly not the cheapest gun out there, but the most inexpensive for the reliability. Glock, of course. Parts very inexpensive to replace. If anything breaks, we don't shoot the most compared. We don't shoot thousands and thousands of rounds, but when the count comes up there and springs need to be replaced, anything, the ejector needs to be replaced, we know that we can find it very inexpensively. 23 over 19 or any other caliber specifically, there's no real reason why we chose the 23 or the 40 Smith & Wesson over 9 or 45, other than the fact that we know it's available. It's not 45, so it's not the most expensive. And we like the fact that it's a little bit beefier around, but if we want to put the conversion barrel in there, we can, and shoot that in competitions, a little softer recoiling. And of course, as you guys know, it's a lot cheaper than 40 at times. And that's pretty available as well. Magazines, when I was comparing them to like the M&Ps, this was in comparison to the M&P when I bought it originally, and I knew the M&P pistols, their magazines were a bit more expensive than the Glock magazines. That was a big factor for me, but that's pretty much why I chose Glock 23, and I purchased mine before he did, and you got to shoot it a little bit, and he fell in love, I believe, with some Glocks. So, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about. I did get a chance to shoot his before I bought mine. I recommend you do that before a purchase of any gun. Um, but yeah, it was great to shoot. I really loved it, and I'd like to touch on the caliber as well. Um, it seems to be like a main factor when you're going into, like one of your top main factors when you're buying a gun, whether it be a carry gun, a hunting gun, whatever. So for me, choosing 40 over 9 or 45 or 10 mil, um, it wasn't really a hard choice for me. I felt his, I shot it, I liked it. I worked on my grip that day to work on mitigating that recoil a little bit better. I just liked the way it felt in my hand. And as far as rounds go, like he said, 40 is it's kind of in between. You know, it's not too much. It's a little bit more than 9, but not by much. So that definitely factors in as well. I don't know for how much for other people when they're purchasing their weapons, but that's why we.
So I did forget one thing to mention: the recoil assembly that Glock put into their Gen 4s helped a lot, in my opinion, with the recoil of the 40. 40 is a very snappy round compared to its competitors like the 9mm and the 45. But with their assembly spring, or the recoil assembly spring that they put in there for the Gen 4, in my personal opinion, I believe it really helped. My fiance has a personal Glock 19 Gen 4, and I could tell a difference in recoil, but for me, with the proper grip, of course, can handle this just fine. Follow-up shots are just fine. But as we both mentioned before, the conversion barrel is really good. It's a great idea. We're definitely going to do it in the near future for competitions. Competitions, you want to be a little bit quicker with your follow-up shots than you typically are just on a normal day. And they're cheaper, but that's about it. So now we're going to bring you guys up closer to describe in detail things that we've changed and upgrades and things like that we've done for each of them. So we're going to go ahead. We brought you up closer. Hope you guys can have a good view from there. Brandon's going to go ahead and get started and talk about his Glock.
Okay, so like we said before, these are our carry guns. He's got about 2,200. I've got almost 2,000 rounds to it. Running real smooth, no malfunctions, nothing like that. So I'm gonna jump straight into it. This is Cerakote, done locally. It was about $60, pretty inexpensive. It's kind of getting up there for a paint job, but whatever. We wanted to do it, so went ahead and did that. A couple of things to be aware of: holster wear. I don't know if you can see this right here. We run Kydex holsters, Bravo company, lifetime warranty, really good holsters. Swear by that company, they're a good company. Another thing to be aware of is the stickiness in the mag well. It'll be a little sticky. One thing we noticed is that it dumped full mags, but empty mags it wouldn't dump as well, which is just because of the weight difference. But just be aware of that when you're getting a paint job on your gun. The other thing I've got done here is the back plate. Pretty cheap. I think it's like $10. I just did it to do it, just something fun. The other thing I got are the night sights. I got orange in the rear, 2 dots with white lining, and green in the front with white lining. It is Meprolight brand, Trijicon. Steel, really nice. We both installed ours ourselves, fairly easy. Didn't have any problems. Mine was right on. Really good. It's got a lifetime warranty up to, and for the Trijicon it has, I believe, 12 years life is what they say. But Amazon for about $80 now, not a bad deal. Great sights. I like them a lot. Pretty low profile. I prefer mine in some situations a little better than his, and then I like his in some situations a little better than mine, and he might touch on that a little bit. My spring, when I did get my Cerakote, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. The slide stops right here were installed backwards from the guy that did the paint job. Not a big deal, but when I put my slide back on, it came back to about right here, and the spring was sticking out, and I was like, well, what the hell's wrong with this? And I took it back in, and he said, oh, it's just I put these in backwards. So from then on out, my spring felt a little tight, and I wasn't really sure why. And I looked back on that, and I was wondering, and I went ahead and called Glock, and they said, well, that shouldn't be happening, and they just sent me a new spring. So I have that spring on backup. Nothing wrong with it, just a little tight. I don't know why, like I said. But sent me a new one in like 3 days. It's really great. I like them for that. And that's really about all I have done to my Glock, except run a ton of rounds and clean it every now and then. So one more thing I almost forgot. I got the slug-plug done. I believe it was from the same company, Bastion, that did the backplate that I got. And I went ahead and had the same guy Cerakote that. And it's pretty cheap. I think it was about under $20. Just something for a holder. You don't really need one. This is my carry gun. I kind of wanted to make it look a little pretty. It's, So, and that's about it.
Alright guys, so Michael again. I want to go ahead and go over what I did to mine specifically. So to get started, I did, Brandon and I got our Cerakote done at the same place. I don't believe he mentioned it, but his is OD green, but mixed with a little bit different color, and I'm not sure exactly, but it's very customized. It's not exactly Magpul green, but it's a little bit darker. It looks very nice. I might not be able to tell in the video though. I really like Magpul's FTE, so that's what I went with, the Cerakoting. $60 as well, just for the frame. Did a fine job, I believe. He did not put my slide stop in backwards, thankfully, so I had no spring issue at all. as you can see here, a little bit better on mine than his. The Kydex holsters do over time put some wear and tear on the trigger guard right there. A little on the edges, things like that, right here. No big deal. Other than that, I mean, this thing's had over 1,000 rounds through it, his as well, since we got them Cerakoted, and we're very pleased. For $60, you can't really beat it. So I did not necessarily have the drive to change my back plate or my slug plug yet, but I would like to get the back plate with the flag in the near future. Very patriotic, I guess, compared to some. Now, one thing I will say is he got his night sights before I did. I have the Trijicon HD sights, and I'd like to do a review in those in the future, so I won't go too in depth in those. But I will say, shooting his, Brandon, on the other hand, I'll tell you, has better than perfect vision, according to eye doctors. My vision's horrible, so I needed a sight that had a brighter front sight than just white compared to the rear. The rear's nice and blacked out, so that I can see that front sight pretty easily, with bad eyesight, of course. And the nice thing I like is I found these HD sights specifically on, I believe, Optics Planet, and I haven't found them anywhere else. But this is the green, and this is actually yellow. Couldn't find it anywhere else. I got a good deal on these about a year and a half ago for about $130 or so. I believe that's a good deal for the HD sights. I like the fact that it has this ramp here raised for one-handed manipulation, and I'm very pleased with the sights. I have no complaints. He has no complaints about his either. He did mention that he liked my sights for some situations and his sights for some situations, and I agree, and I think most would probably find that in the situation between the two. His is a little more lower profile than these. As you can see, they're a bit higher than the standard night sights or any sights that, like the sights that Glocks come with. The yellow front dot being so bold and so large doesn't give the average shooter as much accuracy, I believe. Precision, especially us being fairly new shooters. We've only been doing it for a few years with pistols, per se. We've been shooting all our lives, rifle-wise. But up close, this is a very fast pistol. That front bright yellow dot is great to pick up. The blacked out rear helps make that very visible. Now with his, I don't get that image as quickly, but at a distance, because like I said, his is lower profile, those distant shots for me and him are a little easier. Now I will say, after about 1,000 rounds, I finally figured out my hold at different distances. Up close, I just use that dot, and it's pretty daggone dead on. And at a distance, I kind of have to lower and use more of the post. At a distance out past 35, 40 yards, I'm looking at a 6 o'clock hold with the dot, per se, and using more so the hold with the post. But other than that, I haven't changed a bit. It's been a great gun for about 2,300 rounds, somewhere in there, and he has almost 2,000 rounds through his, and they've been great. Alright guys, well that concludes this video of the review of our Glock 23s. Maybe went a little more in depth than I wanted to in a few things, but that's alright. Definitely see some more specific reviews here in the near future of the sights and things like that. But thanks for watching.
Yep. We got Michael here, Brandon, one in the chamber, 00. Check us out.